Designed to take you where you want to go, when you want to go. Get 1.9% financing for 60 months on a new Mazda CX-50. Named an IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus Award winner. Choose from over 40 CX-50s right now and save at Team Mazda on Airline.
Well, look at this shot. Look at this shot right here. You know exactly what you're looking at.
Yes.
Just take that in for a moment.
That is so impressive when you see it in person.
Johnny, you've been able to go. You've been there, Johnny.
Yeah,
Jared, you've been there.
on each side where the two towers were. That's
Yeah,
where
of course.
exactly the size of and exactly
Yeah.
where one of
The
those
footprint.
two towers was. And you just stand there and they've got names on the walls around the edges of it. It's just like, what? And it just, I mean, very somber. I mean, you can go into a room, you can't take your cell phone because they don't want you recording the audio, but there's a room where you can push buttons and look at faces and hear that person's last message to their loved one from the airplane on 9/11. And it's like, whoa.
That is some of those heartbreaking
Every American
audio
alive
listen
needs to go through and spend several hours going through the 9/11 museum.
You know, we ran a story on that today, and they added 39 more names to that wall, the FDNY Memorial Center wall, and that's because of the after impacts, people who responded to the days and months and years after to clean up that area and to help people with the rescue and recovery mission. Just this last week, 39 names were added to that wall. And you think about the people who are still living with the trauma of it all, the after impacts. In fact, you've got Prairieville Fire Chief Mark Stewart, who was responding there at the time with the rescue and recovery missions. He's talking today. He's the guest speaker at their remembrance ceremony. So the impacts of this still living on today, and we unfortunately expect more names to be added on as more time goes on as well.
They've got a glass enclosure in a couple of the exhibit rooms where it has like 200 bottles of medicine and breathing apparatuses and syringes of one patient and how that patient was treated post 9/11 before they ended up dying.
Yeah, that's hard to think about. And you think about the medical coverage. John Stewart has been a big advocate of trying to make sure that those who responded actually get the care that they deserve for all of this.
Speaking passionately and sometimes rightfully so angrily when funding was about to lapse in Congress, and so you get that. how you let that lapse, I have no idea.
Right.
But you've been. I mean, obviously, I used to live out in New York. You've lived there for many years, but I haven't been back but a few times since I actually lived there, and so I haven't actually seen this memorial.
Yeah, I mean, I remember first going back about 1 month after it happened, and you could just tell the city, obviously it looked different, but the whole feel was different. And actually, we went to a Yankees game shortly after that, and I kid you not, every time an airplane would fly over, you would see everybody just kind of watch the airplane, and that was abnormal. And I would say that went on for at least a year beyond that in New York. But you know, everybody either knows somebody involved or knows somebody who knows somebody. So it's far-reaching.
Changed our life. I mean, I remember flying out of town on business for the first time after 9/11, in the first part of October, shortly after they got back in the air, to see these armed uniforms with vests on at the top of the escalator. I'm like, where am I at?
Which is not normal.
Louisiana.
Right.
Yeah.
And to that end, we were just talking about, here we are 24 years later, and just now TSA, what was it, about a month ago, finally they've revoked the shoe rule. You can leave your shoes on now. That's something that started, we think, right after
very
that,
close.
or very close
to
the
it. Shoe bomber and the absolutely, we were just having that conversation about that. But yeah, it changed so many lives, that seminal moment. And everybody, if you were alive at that time, and you know, you remember where you were. You remember where you were?
You were.
Where were you?
Well, I was laying in the dentist chair getting my teeth cleaned for my 6-month appointment. My dentist walked in, and we were doing traffic watch from the air here in Baton Rouge. And he goes, "Hey, dude, one of y'all's traffic watch planes flew into the tower in New York." And I said, "Really?" And I get out of the chair and get on and turn the radio on, and it was not a traffic watch plane.
Yeah.
The story was real.
You know, the thing about tragedy, which is so heartbreaking but powerfully bittersweet if you think about it, is no matter where you are in the country, it unites you. No matter what age you are, you remember that very pivotal moment of where you are and how you felt. I was in elementary school, and it was 6th grade. I remember them wheeling in the TV into the room. It was a boob tube TV at the time, and we were watching Matt Lauer and Katie Couric announce it, and they kept playing that video, and then people running out of the building. I will never forget my teacher crying, and everyone was just silent. And that's all all that we watched for about 30 minutes to 40 minutes.
Charlie Gibson and Diane Sawyer.
Yeah.
It was like, what is going on? It's crazy.
I was in New Mexico at the time. I was working on a station in New Mexico, and the time differences from New York to Central Time Zone to Mountain to Western. I had a friend of mine. I was working night shift at the station. He called me up. He said, "Hey, wake up, turn on the TV," because that was in the days when it was wake up and turn on the TV. Nowadays, you don't say turn on the TV. You got a phone in our pocket.
Right.
He said, "Hey, turn on the TV," and I made the phone call to my parents. I was in New Mexico. I made the phone call east to my parents in Louisiana. Said, "Wake up," and my wife, who was in California at the time, I said, "Wake up! You got to turn this on." It was, it's that moment. It's that moment.
Mary and Brent, a good friend of mine, lives in New Jersey, works in New York, worked in Tower 2.
Oh my goodness.
And I still have her business card. Wow. She was fine. She was running late for work that morning.
Wow.
And there are those stories.
And had to go through therapy herself because she would have been in the building.
Okay, so that was 24 years ago. Let's get back into 2025 and talk a little bit about what we're going to be walking out into today. We've got a brilliant day on the way if you like summer heat.
Yeah, if you like the heat, but hopefully the humidity won't be so bad. And look at this beautiful, look, the sun just ready to swallow us whole there in Bay St. Louis for our friends and neighbors over there to the east in Mississippi. A beautiful shot, but it does promise to be a warm day. Again, hopefully the dew point's not too bad. 70 right now, so the humidity is high for the time being, but that won't be the case throughout the entire day. Meanwhile, yesterday 91, 1 degree above our average, and we're going to add about 1 degree or so going forward every single day towards the weekend as we're building heat. Not much rain. We're going to talk about if there's any rain whatsoever in the forecast, and then we're updating the tropics. We actually do have one new wave that's emerging that we're going to talk about as well. A couple of isolated showers that are moving towards the Houston-Galveston area away from us. We're not seeing anything coming towards our neck of the woods. Nothing expected. I agree with the graph. We're going to have a lot of sunshine throughout the day. No green on your screen. They're going with a high temperature of around 93 degrees. And again, we look to see mid-90s before all is said and done in the 7-day. Now, I think they might be a little too optimistic with their forecast lows going into tomorrow morning. We might get down to around 70, maybe 69. I don't think it'll be quite that cool. Meanwhile, high pressure is going to center very close to our area. More dry, more stable air. But not only that, this big upper high, that's going to sit on top of us. That helps to block any of the incoming rain, and unfortunately it blocks any of those incoming fronts. So right now, over the next 7 days, not only are we forecasting no rain, but we're not forecasting any cold fronts either, so we're not going to get a lot of relief. But as I mentioned, if the dew points stay relatively lower in the mid-60s, which is expected to do, that means over the next 7 days, whatever the temperature is, whatever the high temperature is, the peak heat index is going to be very close to that number. So we've got some mid-90s out there, and that's what that's going to look like for the peak heat. Here, once again, out to the tropical Atlantic, this is relatively new. This actually isn't even in the open waters just yet. It's going to be a wave that eventually comes off of the African coast, has not done so. And then when it gets into this yellow area here, that's where there should be some tropical development. That's where there's a 30% chance of it developing into something. And meanwhile, we talked about this the past couple of days. For this time period, there is a medium chance in that same part of the Atlantic. Going all the way out towards the end of September, you see a little bit of yellow jettisoning into the southern part of the Gulf. That's a low, limited chance and very typical for this time of year. As you get the kiddos off to the school bus stop, 71 to start, 92 to finish. Mostly sunny. It's going to be a pretty decent day out there again, just on the warm side. Tonight, hopefully we get into the upper 60s, maybe 69. We're not going to get much lower than that, but still not too bad. Live after 5, get out there and enjoy Friday, Aurora Plaza. We bring it right back, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. But of course, sunscreen, water, going to be hot. No relief in the 7-day forecast. No rain in the 7-day. And it looks like we're going to be living in the mid-90s for the foreseeable future there. 7-11 right now. Johnny A., how are the roads?
Traffic pattern normal. Nothing out of the ordinary. I-10 starting to back up coming in from the Gonzales area. Not until you get past Bluebonnet, though. That's I-10 at Essen Lane. Both sides of I-10, westbound and eastbound backing up. That eastbound side backs up the I-12 traffic just a little as you make your way over the interstate. Getting drive times in, too. 34 minutes coming in from Denham Springs to Baton Rouge. And again, a lot of that's going to be around Denham. And then again, when you get a little bit closer on into the Baton Rouge area. Going to get back to Liz and Matt with some more remembrances from 9/11. 24 years ago today. Can you believe? Almost a quarter of a century. 7:12, 9 News Now continues.
7:13 your time on a September 11th morning, so you know what the conversation is all about, remembering the lives lost on that day now 24 years ago.
It's hard to believe that in about 32 minutes from now, 24 years ago, is the moment that the world changed for many Americans. So today at 7:46 a.m., BRFD, multiple stations across the city parish, will have a moment of silence for 1 minute. They're pulling out all of their engines on the front aprons of the stations across the city parish. They're going to have that moment of silence with their flags up as well.
It really is quite the moment to see just them out there doing it. They're not the only ones. If you get out to Ascension Parish, where our Matt Venezia was this morning, Santa Monica and Gonzales, they're going to be doing similar things, having conversations about the lives lost, making sure that those stories are told.
That's it. So 11:30, make your way to Ascension Parish Fire District 1 in Santa Ma. Multiple fire departments there are going to get together. That is excluding Prairieville. We just want to quickly mention there, later this morning at 9 o'clock, the Chief Mark Stewart, he's going to be the guest speaker at that commemoration ceremony. He worked at Ground Zero, as we mentioned there. It's an important opportunity to do that remembrance ceremony.
Yeah, as we talked about, just continuing to have the conversations, keeping those names alive. So
we just want to hit some breaking news. We've confirmed with EBR Schools that Shenandoah Elementary is without power this morning here. As we get updates from them, we'll let you know. But as of now, that campus is dealing with the power outage.
All right, folks, we'll keep you in the know as the morning moves along here. Still, of course, a long way to go on September 11th. A live look from New York.
Designed to take you where you want to go, when you want to go. Get 1.9% financing for 60 months on a new Mazda CX-50. Named an IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus Award winner. Choose from over 40 CX-50s right now and save at Team Mazda on Airline.